Skirt, skirt. Told you we always been ready. I don't need people that's petty, that weigh on me heavy while I'm being steady. I need a record with Felly. We get it bouncing like Betty's, I feel like I'm Nelly. Don't bring the beef like a deli. It's leave on a levy, no sleeping on me like I'm Freddy. Chris Breeze, how I do, hit him with the moves. Left hand step back, ballin' like I'm Coos. All faith, God's plan, you just gotta choose. God slaps, nothing left to prove. Y'all gotta leave me alone. Lately I've been in my zone. Told them no cap like I fitted, but lately the flows have been straight off the dome. I feel like I'm MVP, like my name Patty Mahomes. If it ain't about money, don't hit up my phone, cause lately I've been in my zone.
Hello, welcome to the Cowboy Show, hosted by Ben Carey and Nick Gronerad, combining expert human opinions with cutting-edge simulation models to help you arrive at the best picks each week. Inside Edge Community. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to today's stream. That is the wrong screen. There we go. That is the right screen. Larry says, we in the zone. Yes, we are, in fact, in the zone. I'm feeling it. I think this is going to be a good day of football.
Is that a 2-3 zone, Larry, or a 1-3-1 zone?
Yeah, or is this like a 2 deep zone, or
Tampa 2, cover 6, we roll in the corners?
Mm-hmm.
What are we doing?
Yeah, you got to be more specific. Box and 1, says DJ.
Oh, man.
Yeah, certainly no man-to-man.
I wonder why more teams don't run the box and 1, not for a full game in the NBA, but just it's interesting. But we're not
it's like a little
NBA.
switcheroo every now and then.
Yeah.
What's up, Pick-Filet? First time chat says, "What's good? I love your name."
Pick-Filet's a goat. He's in Book It, and yeah, I like him. Or her. I don't know if he's a him or her.
That's a goat name. I love it. Hope everyone's doing well. Glad to see y'all here. So as always, we got 12 games to go through today. So let's start from the top. Houston and Miami. And this game, like many of the other ones that we're going to talk about, has some injury issues. For anybody who has not seen, Tua Tagovailoa has been ruled out of this game as of this morning. Apparently, he's got some kind of fracture in his throwing hand. I think he's dressing as the backup quarterback, actually.
Yikes.
So, yeah, I saw somebody compare it to like Jared Goff and John Wolford from the Rams last postseason, where like in a pinch, in an emergency, he can come in and play, but they really don't want that. So looking like Jacoby Brissett today. On the Texans side, Tyrod Taylor is back. So that is probably good for them. I mean, Davis Mills, did he look good? Not really. Was he helped by the coaching staff? Not really. I think Taylor being back for the Texans is good for them, if for no other reason. I think Culley just has a little bit more confidence in Taylor. It's going to let him have a more creative offensive game plan. Do you agree with that, Ben?
Yeah, and I think another to consider is when you have a coach like Culley who's still trying to figure out how to be a head coach. I mean, he's been in the league for years, but this is his first season as head coach. I think that gives more autonomy to the quarterback. So when you had a rookie out there, right, he's relying heavily on the play calling and being told what to do. But then when you have a guy like Tyrod Taylor, right, he can kind of switch things up at the line, run checks, switch from runs to pass to runs, vice versa. So I think that's another thing to consider, that the offense gets stimulated a little more with a guy like him in. But having said that, I'm also worried that people are just going to look back to see Tyrod Taylor in that first game, and they're going to be like, well, he's back out there today, and that's what we're going to expect. because it's a small sample size.
Yeah, I mean, it is a small sample size in some sense, but it was a good small sample. I mean, this offense looked quite good with Tyrod Taylor at the helm. Week 1, it was against Jacksonville, but they did score 37 points in that game. And then week 2 against Cleveland, the game where Taylor got hurt, they scored a touchdown in each of the first 2 quarters, the 2 quarters that Taylor played.
Yeah.
I mean, so the offense clicks with Taylor, and it's not like they're completely lacking talent at the skill positions. Brandon Cooks is a good receiver. They don't have a stud running back, but the guys that they have are all serviceable and okay at what they do. Yeah, I think, I mean, it can't be worse than they had been.
I guess my point is I've seen a lot of that on Twitter. Yeah, but it can't be. I don't think it's going to be as good as it was. That's kind of my point. I just think we need to temper expectations because this Texans team still is pretty bad.
Yeah, it's
that's kind of my point.
Yeah, I think that they're better though than they're not 1-8 bad. I think
that's fair to say.
I think this is probably like a 4 or 5 win team, healthy. Yeah. Which is bad, but it's not quite worst team in the league bad. So model, and again, so the model, I wasn't able to run this with Jacoby Brissett instead of Tua because that news broke just this morning. But with Tua in there, the model actually had Houston winning this game. So this is with Tyrod Taylor, but Tyrod against Tua. So the model had Houston taking this by about 0.2 of a point. 25.7 to 25.49. With Brissett in, that might actually be a boost to Miami, as weird as it is to say.
From the model?
From the model side. But either way, I think straight up, it's a coin flip. I think it's coin flip territory. And I'm seeing now that this line has moved to Miami -4. So if Houston's getting 4 points here, I think I have to like Houston.
Yeah. You get home field, but what is home field in Miami, really? They don't have the best home field atmosphere. I think we need to throw up a fade on this one.
Throw up a fade? Are you sure? I like Miami. I also like the over.
You like Miami?
No, I mean, I'm sorry. I meant Houston. I like Houston, and I like the over.
Okay, I do like the over, though, but I don't... as far as the side goes, I don't have a lot of confidence in the Texans right now. I just don't, because I just think that it's not going to be as easy as just a plug and play with Tyrod. I don't. And I know the model doesn't really pick that up, right? Because it's more of, hey, here's how he looked in that game. But I'm just under the impression that it's not going to be as smooth as expected, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely a lot of risks involved with this Texans team. So I'll throw up a fade for the game. We've been on kind of auto fade mode for the Texans. I think one more week of auto fade just to see how Taylor plays. That's appropriate.
And hey, if the Texans come out and win this game, I mean, you take it, but I just think that it could also be another spot where they lose by 2 touchdowns. I guess.
And ultimately it's better to have a winning pick that you didn't bet on than a losing pick that you do bet on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's up, Paul's Modeling Company? Underdog week?
It definitely could be an underdog week. Jack says over 31-27 Texans. That's a lot of points. That's over by quite a bit. Also, haven't seen you around in a while. Hope all is well.
Curious on Tyrod's props.
Yeah. Let me pull that up real quick. Although I don't. If we're not going to touch this game, why would we touch Tyrod's props? If Tyrod being good or bad is the concern.
No, it's just a talking point. I'm curious to see because a lot of times, like Christian McCaffrey's props aren't out for his receiving. So a lot of times they're maybe uncertain why they're not releasing lines like that.
Yeah. So for Tyrod Taylor, yeah, I don't see.
I see passing yards.
On PointsBet, they didn't have
FanDuel,
passing yards.
Oh,
But what's it out on
227.
wherever you're looking?
well, let me just make sure because I'm looking at the aggregated spot, but I was showing 228.
228. Yeah, I mean, I'd probably lean over.
Yeah, me too. Speaking of the underdogs, the dogs are barking, Paul. But yeah, we can move on.
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
right now Texans got to be untouchable right now.
Yeah. Peen Dog TTV says Rondale Moore or Zach Moss, PPR league. I'd probably go Zach Moss
Yeah.
if Colt McCoy is going to be starting for Arizona. But that's a tough one. Not a good position to be in.
Yeah.
Sad to say. So anyways, next up, we've got the Denver Broncos and the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas favored by 10 points at home. Over-under set at 49.5. So Ben, first game in the post-Von Miller era for Denver. There's so many things that have happened. I was saying this to Ben. There's so many things that have happened in the last week of the NFL, just news-wise. Yeah, some of this stuff feels like ancient news. Like Von Miller feels like he got traded a lot more than 4 or 5 days ago. It feels like it's been a month. But no, this is the Broncos' first game without Von Miller.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's a weird position because not only is he not out there, but we just know he's not on the team because last week he didn't even suit up because of an injury. But now it's different with him not in the locker room, not on the team because he's a guy that the whole team respects. Was basically the guy on the team. So now this is the first game against a very good. But I'm coming around a little bit, Nick, on the Broncos at +10. I know earlier in the week I was very anti-Broncos, but this seems like a trap spot for the Cowboys in the sense that I think they could have a letdown a little bit, but at the same time, the Broncos, we're already expecting them to kind of let down. So if the Broncos can just exceed expectations just a little bit in this one, I think they can cover. But there's just so much going on. At this point, I think both the offensive coordinator for the Broncos and head coach know that they're not going to be here next year. It's a weird time. So there's a lot going on outside of what the model is saying.
Yeah, I completely agree. So I'm with you. I kind of like the Broncos to cover here. I don't think it's going to be as close as the model thinks it is. I'm not entirely sure why the model has this so close to begin with. It's been a little low on Denver and pretty high on Dallas for most of the year. And now suddenly it thinks this is going to be a really close game. So that's a little confusing to me. I don't think this is going to be a 1-point game like this. But there are some potential injury concerns on Dallas's side. I don't think they have anybody who's actually going to be out. But Dak Prescott, of course, missed last week with an injury. How healthy is he going to be? That's a question mark. Also, with a lot of their wide receivers, I think CeeDee Lamb was questionable coming in and was just confirmed starting within the last half hour. Same with Amari Cooper. So a lot of these guys on Dallas's offense might not be at 100%. And yeah, like T. Cherry said, Dallas defense is buns. It's just can Teddy Bridgewater cook the buns? That's the question.
Well, Nick, another thing that's funny with the Broncos is if you look at a lot of advanced metrics of them, they're a lot better than the standard metrics show. And I think when that happens, more times than not, I think it comes down to coaching and play calling because on third down, the Broncos are one of the worst third down teams. But if there was like a hypothetical NFL that didn't have downs and it was just like I don't know.
Just run as many plays as you need to score.
Yeah, just go, or you get like a set amount of plays. Like let's say you get 10 plays and you have to score. Maybe the Broncos would be a better team than having to convert on third downs. Actually, maybe they'd be worse.
They'd probably be worse.
But I think the point is whatever the model is showing, you almost have to cross out and say Fangio's the head coach.
Yeah.
That's how or Shermer's the offensive coordinator. That's how I feel with this team.
Yeah, so are you down to put Broncos plus the points as a lean here? I'm doing it.
Yeah, since it's at 10. If it's at 10,
Yeah,
because
it's at 10.
I bet Cowboys personally at -8 earlier in the week, and then I threw it in that teaser that I basically had to cook up. But hey, that's actually a Wong teaser, and we'll get to the second leg of that coming up in the Cleveland game. But the first leg at the time was +8 teased down to +2.
Yeah. So a couple comments, especially first-time comments. Ninja Assassin, what's your favorite bet today? He says. So how we run these is we'll run through each of the games individually to start, and then at the end we'll wrap it back up with our favorite bets. And Money Humps, that's a name. Also first-time chat says everyone is on the Chargers, and it's the obvious pick, but it makes me eerie. I think it's making a lot of people uneasy. The Chargers. They feel like they're a lot better of a team than the Eagles. They're getting a lot of money, and the line's not moving. In fact, it might even be a little RLM. But
wait for that game coming up, and I'll tell you exactly why and what's happening there, because I feel pretty confident about that game.
Yeah, we'll hit that one when its order comes up on the chart. So next up, we've got Minnesota and Baltimore. Baltimore, 6-point favorites at home, over-under set at 50.5. And actually, this has just moved to 7. I'm seeing a lot of late, I guess as always, but a lot of late moves. I set the graphics up an hour ago, and it was at 6. But now we're looking at 7, whole point jump, and to a key number, which is pretty important.
Yeah, and when we say key number, most of you know, but 6 to 7, 7's a touchdown worth a score, and a move from 3.5 to 6, I think is, well, I'll say 3.5 to 5 is a 2-point move, but I think a move from 6 to 7 is just as significant, even though it's only worth 1 point, because it's a key number.
Yeah, it's football scores are in increments of 3s and 6s and 7s, so they're more important. So all that said, despite this line move, I still like Baltimore. I'm biased. I'm a Ravens fan, but I like Baltimore here. Coming off a bye, I think is important for this team. They've had a couple issues the last couple of weeks. Terrible performance in the last game against Cincinnati. But John Harbaugh's a good coach. I think that they're going to watch the film, they're going to identify the problems, and they're going to figure it out to some extent. The running game really has been the issue for the Ravens. The running backs are just not really getting the job done. I think Latavius Murray is not playing today. He's just scratched. So it's Le'Veon Bell and Devontae Freeman leading the backfield. But I trust Harbaugh that he's identified the correct guys to take on that workload. Sammy Watkins also out, which means that Rashad Bateman should be getting some more looks. Bateman's looked pretty good those first couple of games. I'm really excited for him. So I think this Minnesota defense has been quite susceptible, both through the air and on the ground. And I just think it's a good bounce back spot for Baltimore, especially coming off the bye.
Yeah, so a few things. One, this scheduling spot for the Ravens is one of the best you're going to see all season for a team. They're playing their 4th straight home game, which, Nick, that doesn't happen often. They have to be one of a few teams that has that.
Yeah, it's pretty rare. I don't have any kind of data on.
Yeah, I know it doesn't happen a lot. The Broncos had 3, and I was like, oh my God. And they have 4. So they're getting their 4th straight home game, and they're coming off a bye. So essentially, you do the math, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight weeks at home.
Yeah, the last time that they were on the road was October 3rd in Denver.
Yeah. So that's a month. That's insane. And I know maybe you're skeptical and you're like, well, how much does that really matter? But it does. I mean, shit, I travel 2 hours on a plane and I'm tired. Like
Yeah.
it sounds silly, but that's why the home field is where it's at, and that's why getting 3 points for home field, the travel's factored into that number. So on the other side of the ball, though, you got the Vikings, right? And the Vikings are a team right now that I feel like are at a breaking point. There's a lot going on. I've heard rumors that guys are not happy. They're pointing fingers after the game. Last week they were yelling in the locker room. They have all the talent in the world, but I just think at this point, Zimmer just doesn't have the team where it needs to be. So I think at -6, that was a slam. At -7,
Yeah, so I think I actually know why this moved to -7.
was there a late injury?
There was a late, like, post announcing who's in and out injury on Minnesota's side. That's Harrison Smith. Was placed on the COVID list. So Harrison Smith is a surprise absence for the Vikings defense in this game. And that's a
Hunter's
huge
already
loss.
out, right?
Yeah, Danielle Hunter's already out. Michael Pierce, former Raven, so no revenge narrative. Michael Pierce is out. So really, really banged up defense for Minnesota.
Yeah.
And I think that combined with all of those other injuries, I mean, Harrison Smith is one of the best safeties in the league. Missing him, missing the best pass rusher on the team,
Danielle Hunter. Yeah.
missing nose tackle and Michael Pierce. I mean, that's tough. So I like Baltimore here, despite the line move.
Yeah, I still lean Baltimore at -7. It just seems like there's a lot of talking points that would say yes, favor Baltimore. The only thing I have for the Vikings, just trying to make a counter argument, is they do have such a talented offense, but I don't know why it hasn't clicked the way it should have. Because I mean, Dalvin Cook, you could say he's a top 5 back. Justin Jefferson, you got to put him in the top 10. They have Adam Thielen. I don't know. It's been interesting what's going on in Minnesota.
Yeah, it's definitely a talented offense. That is for sure. Larry says, how do you feel about Ravens team total over 28.5? I'd probably rather just take the Ravens against the spread, if I'm being honest. I don't like that extra half on the team total, taking it above 28. I mean, then you basically need 5 scores from the Ravens, which is definitely possible. But needing 5 scores as opposed to 4, I'd rather take the Ravens.
I get where he's coming from, because we have been talking about how banged up Minnesota is on defense. So
yeah, I'd just be really worried that it hits at 28. If it was 27.5, I'd tell you to take it. Just that extra point crossing 28 is what is concerning to me.
30-19, would that be a scoregami?
I don't know.
Maybe.
Possibly.
It's funny how mainstream that is now.
I love scoregami.
Like my mom, even. She doesn't get on Twitter, but she knew about scoregami.
So speaking of scoregami, this game has nothing to do with scoregami, but we do have New England and Carolina as the next game. Carolina, 3-point underdogs at home. Total set at 41.5. And let me make sure this line hasn't moved. Okay, no, it hasn't moved. Christian McCaffrey, continuing on our theme of kind of late injury news. Christian McCaffrey is playing in this game. That was a bit of a surprise to me.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold is also playing in this game. He was questionable, but he is going to end up starting. Sam Darnold, I sound like a broken record, but he's been bad. He's probably been, over the last 4 or 5 weeks, the worst quarterback in the league who's played every week. And I think you could say the Panthers have had the worst quarterback play of any team in the league.
Yeah. It has not been good.
No, and I think it's no coincidence that happened when Christian McCaffrey went out. So we had the first couple of weeks with McCaffrey. The Panthers' offense looked fantastic. They looked like one of the best offenses in the league. Darnold was clicking. Everybody was blaming Adam Gase and the Jets for him being bad. Ryan Tannehill 2.0 type situation. But as soon as McCaffrey got hurt, everything fell apart. Mm-hmm. I think the Panthers are going to be in a buy low spot moving forward. Although I don't know that this is the week. McCaffrey's probably going to be on some kind of snap count. Probably not 100%.
Absolutely, Nick. I was just going to bring up that point about McCaffrey because at this point in his career, the only limitation he's had has been injury.
Yeah.
And they always say, it's the old adage, you're only as good as the time you are on the field and available. And I think they have to consider that with him moving forward, not just in this game, coming off the injury first game back, but I think as a whole. Yeah, I just don't expect Chris McCaffrey to get the touches that he was earlier in the season. But having said that, though, I think just having them out there puts the defense on their toes. But I still feel good about this play, and I like the Patriots.
Yeah, I still like the Patriots as well.
I'm sold on Mac Jones.
Yeah, Mac Jones has been good. I mean, and it certainly helps playing in a Belichick offense, and he's looking good without a lot of high quality weapons. Mm-hmm. Like there's no stud receiver on that team. So I like the Patriots here. So model has this one at about 25-18 for New England, and this is without Christian McCaffrey. I will add, McCaffrey probably adds another point or two onto Carolina, and maybe takes away a quarter of a point from New England just because Carolina will have the ball more with the more effective offense. But I think that change doesn't take me off the Pats here. So I like New England.
And I agree. Rule he's a pretty good head coach. I think he understands the game from a good perspective as far as he buys into analytics, which I think, man, if you just buy into analytics, I think that just immediately puts you in the top 50% of head coaches. Like, it's funny that we even have to say that at this point, but
just how do you not buy into analytics?
Ask Fangio.
It's like, oh yeah, the numbers are wrong.
I just don't understand. Like, oh yeah, I think we feel we should go for it here. Yeah. You
don't need to only use analytics, but to just pretend they don't exist. You can't. Like, I don't believe in first downs.
You got to talk to Fangio on that one, Nick.
There might be some coaches that actually don't believe in first downs. They just forget that that's a thing. Like, drat, we have to punt.
Oh, we got to punt it here. Yeah. So, I don't think Christian McCaffrey's going to see a heavy workload today.
No, I agree. So next up, we've got the Buffalo Bills and the Jacksonville Jaguars. This, I believe, is the biggest point spread of the week, one of just two in double digits. And of course, it's Buffalo favored. 14.5 points despite being on the road. Total here set at 48.5. And again, late injury news, James Robinson is out for Jacksonville. The model does have James Robinson playing. I believe Carlos Hyde is coming in as the backup. So it's Carlos Hyde instead of James Robinson, and probably I don't want to butcher his name. Dare something or another.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try. But he should be the number 2. It's like Obongowale or something along those lines.
That was pretty good.
I tried my best. So Robinson being out should, from the model perspective at least, hurt Jacksonville to some extent and help Buffalo to some extent. So right now, it's looking like exactly 14.5, basically, from the model perspective. It's like 14.2 or 0.25 that it's got Buffalo winning by. I think without Robinson, it's looking more like 15. Total-wise, the model has this slightly under, like 46 and a half or so. Actually, 46 and a half on the nose. So nothing too crazy to look at model-wise, unlike some of these other games where we've seen some bigger differences. But Ben, do you have any thoughts on this game?
You know what? I kind of lean with the Jags in this spot, but I'm not betting it. It just seems that 14 and a half.
The Bills
This has
beat
nothing to
up
do
on
with the
bad teams.
Bills. Yeah, nothing to do with the Bills, but I'm at a loss on this one. I don't know.
Yeah, it feels like a lot of points, but I do think I like the Bills here. Like they've just play well against bad teams. They beat Miami by 35. They beat Houston by 40. They beat Miami again by 15. Like the three bad teams that they've played, they've covered the spread against all of them.
Were those at home? Well, one definitely was.
Yeah, well, one of the Miami games was at home. The other Houston game was also at home.
Okay.
But still, I mean, if you take away 3 points from that, it's only 37.
Mm-hmm.
But we can fade this one. Definite backdoor cover territory as well.
Yeah. Will Trevor Lawrence throw interceptions?
Yes.
His number probably has to be at 1.5 at this point.
Something like that. I wouldn't be surprised. Next up, Cleveland and Cincinnati. Cincinnati favored now by 2. Total set at 47 and a half. And for once, no crazy injury news, but of course the Browns have cut ties with Odell Beckham Jr. Not that he's been doing a whole lot for them anyways, but he is not going to be playing for them today. Donovan Peoples-Jones is in. He's been out recently. Larry wants a hot take on this one. I don't know that I can supply a hot take. Ben, do you have a hot take here?
A hot take on
This game.
this. I don't know, hot take, but I'll say this. I don't think OBJ not being on the team has anything to do with this game as far as the Browns' performance. I don't think he was that much of a factor. If anything, it might help the Browns.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. I think this might actually help the Browns. It's just a distraction that's gone.
Yeah, he's a diva.
Mm-hmm. And I think just everybody knows what their role is now.
Look. Here's the thing. I'll put it this way. Apparently, his dad was like making video clips of like, "Hey, here is when my son was open and you didn't throw him the ball."
Sounds
right?
like something a high schooler
Like,
does.
Yeah,
like a high school dad trying to get his son recruited. Like, no, he's a 2-star, not a 1-star.
yeah. Look at these routes. Like, come on. Does that help or hurt a team? Like, that's what do we do?
It definitely hurts.
Anyways, that's yeah, and that whole drama is now it's gone. It's like when you break up with a toxic girlfriend, you know?
Mhm.
And now you're just like a free man.
Yeah, you send her through waivers,
Yep.
and she can they can all try and claim her. But you know you're better off without.
She's to the streets.
Mm-hmm.
So I think having said all that, yes, the Browns are not getting a lot of love today, and I'm okay with that because I'm showing 78 up to 83% of the handle and bets are on the bank, and I'm totally fine with that because Chubb's back.
Yeah, I mean they're healthy, and every week that goes by is another week that Baker Mayfield can heal up a little bit more. Cincinnati, they're good, but they're really inconsistent. One week they slaughter the Ravens, and the next week they lose to the Jets. and this is a division game. It should be a close game. Got some playoff implications potentially. I like the Browns to cover this one, and I guess it too probably just like the Browns to win outright. You agree?
Yeah, I do agree.
All right, so we're taking the Browns plus the points there. No totals yet on our leans. All sides. It was
Not
like
yet.
this last week too.
Yeah.
So next up, we've got the New York Giants and the Las Vegas Raiders. Giants at home, 3-point underdogs, total set at 46.5. Speaking of injuries, the Giants are starting to get healthy. So Saquon Barkley is still out.
Another way with that one.
Oh, later we will. Saquon Barkley is out still. I believe Sterling Shepard is out. But if that's all they're missing, that's healthy for the Giants. Kadarius Toney is going to be playing. Kenny Golladay is going to be playing. Darius Slayton is playing. John Ross has emerged as a... I mean, if he's your number 4 receiver, he's a good number 4 receiver at this point for what he's doing. He's healthy. Tight ends are healthy. Daniel Jones is healthy. I think that's good for the Giants. At the same time, though, the Raiders have been playing pretty well since they fired John Gruden. They're 2-0 without him. And I'm not surprised. Or at least I know I had been really hating on Gruden's play calling. Just inability to evolve within a game. And I think that even though Bisaccia is kind of an unknown quantity, it just has to be an upgrade. Of course, in the everything feels like ancient news theme, this is the Raiders' first game without Henry Ruggs. Even though it feels like that happened 2 or 3 weeks ago at this point.
Yeah.
So how do you...
Brian Edwards time.
Yeah, it's Brian Edwards time, Hunter Renfrow time. Maybe Darren Waller finally gets back to being a target magnet. But so how do you think, if you can speculate at all, how is that going to affect the Raiders? Or is it going to affect them at all, aside from the personnel loss?
Well, there's two sides to it, right? It's one, mental aspect of like, can we move on from this type thing? And then 2, on the field. But I think on the field, replacing his production, I think, is going to be easier than the other side of this, because they do have guys who can step in. Even like Zay Jones, right? Like, he's made plays. Brian Edwards, Hunter Renfrow. And then, yeah, Waller. If Waller can step up in a big way. So I'm feeling okay about that. This, though, it seems like a spot where maybe the Raiders come out pretty flat.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an extreme one way or the other. They're either going to come out flat or they're going to come out on fire. I think there's no in between, really. I mean, and which one that is really influences which side covers. So I think, personally, probably a fade spot. Model does like the Raiders to cover by about a point, and the model does know that there is no Henry Ruggs. But yeah, it's tough. It's a really unique circumstance that they're in. I don't think it's a good idea to speculate on how it's going to affect the team.
Fade?
I think this is a fade spot.
Fade.
Next up, we've got Atlanta and New Orleans. I believe it's the Trevor Siemian show moving forward in New Orleans. I think Taysom Hill is active, but probably not starting. Yeah, Taysom Hill is active. I think they're gonna. What I'm reading right now says that they're gonna give both of them a bunch of snaps, basically. So Siemian maybe is the nominal starter. Taysom Hill will get more than usual package-wise in the offense. So New Orleans, favored by, let me change this, it's 6.5 now, despite this quarterback change.
Wow.
Total set at 42.5. So, Ben, what are your thoughts here?
Well, my first thought is there's no Calvin Ridley. And I think what we have to realize is that Pitts has been lined up in the slot almost most of his catches this year and a lot of snaps. So he's almost playing more as a wide receiver. And I think teams at this point are treating him like that. So now I think it's safe to say he's the number one receiver. So I think teams are going to clamp down on him. They're going to put some of their best guys on him.
Yeah, I mean, you have to. He's a matchup nightmare for a linebacker or a safety.
Yeah, so I think in the first few weeks we kind of treated it as like, okay, Ridley's the number one guy. Pitts is going to get looks as the tight end, but now I look at it extremely different. So I don't think the Falcons are going to be able to put up a lot of points because I think Pitts is going to get so much coverage on him where you have guys like Russell Gage and Hurst and then I guess Patterson. But yeah, I think it's going to be a tough go for the Falcons to put up points in this one.
Yeah, and you can't run the ball against the Saints. It's impossible. Let me pull up some stats real quick. But the Saints, yards per carry wise, are for sure the number one team in the league at defending the run against running backs. I think it's like under 3 yards per carry, or at least it was recently.
Yeah. And Nick, you should share that resource in the chat if you can, because I think it's a really good one. Because when we look at rushing yards per game and rush yards, that includes quarterback production, right? And guys like Lamar and rushing quarterbacks. But I think it's really good to single in on running backs.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. There's not a guy, or I guess Saquon Barkley is the only guy all season who's had more than 5 carries and averaged 4 yards per carry against this team. So limited options in the passing attack with no Calvin Ridley, inability to run the ball. I'm totally with you. I think the Falcons aren't going to be able to put up a lot of points. The Saints. I also think the Saints aren't going to be able to put up a lot of points, if I'm being honest. I mean, you've had the pleasure of watching Trevor Siemian play before.
Yeah.
And there's a reason that he's a backup.
He's a very, very streaky quarterback. I don't see them putting up a lot of points. I just don't.
Yeah, so the model actually has the Falcons winning this game, which is a little surprising. But the model, again, does know that there's no Calvin Ridley. It does know that there's no Jameis Winston. Mm-hmm. So from that perspective, it is at least using the correct information. I don't think Atlanta wins. I don't know who's going to cover. It's going to be a sloppy game. But I do like the under here. I mean, we're talking about both teams not being able to score. So I think the under has to make sense as a lean.
Okay, I don't quite understand this. So the line is sitting at 41.5, 42 in some spots.
It's at 42.5
Trevor
now.
Siemian, yeah, now
even
it is.
43, even 43.5 in some spots.
Because they announced Simeon's the starter.
Was that a surprise to anyone?
Hill, the line move would say otherwise. If Taysom Hill is the starter, what does that do to the line? Does
I don't know.
Go down? Does it stay? I disagree with that move. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I think it is a little weird. And I also think that if both of those guys are healthy, it's the Saints. It's going to be a lot of Taysom Hill. It's going to be a lot of Trevor Siemian, regardless of who the technical starter is. Mm-hmm. I think Hill probably gets 20 snaps in this game.
Yeah, I was gonna say so. I wonder if there's any lines on his stuff because that
Sounds like a
super
mess
difficult.
to bet on.
Yeah, that sounds.
Find a good
yeah,
number.
I don't even know how the books would price that.
No, I don't think you can. But I'm gonna go ahead and throw up an under as a lean for this game.
But Nick, what I will say though is people in daily fantasy will have him in their lineups.
Oh yes, they will. So next up, we've got the LA Chargers and the Philadelphia Eagles. I think this game is getting a lot of talk.
Yeah, and probably the most significant line move of the day today. Are you tracking where it's at, Nick?
Yeah. Let me update. So I set this at about 9 a.m. Mountain Time. Mm-hmm. So about an hour and a half ago at this point. It was Philly plus 1.5. I'm seeing Philly plus 1 now, although I'm also seeing this game at a pick'em in a couple spots.
I see Philly favored.
Where do you see Philly favored?
On PointsBet.
On PointsBet? Really?
Yeah,
maybe
that's why I'm like, man.
Maybe Vegas Insider's taking a second to update.
Yeah, because it's literally.
Oh no, I see. It's a pick'em on PointsBet.
I'm looking literally just refresh PointsBet.
I did. I just refreshed it. It's minus 0.5.
Okay.
Which is a pick'em.
So it moves to 1 because they're putting it at that 0.5. This is crazy.
Yeah, I mean the money lines are even. It's minus 110 both ways. It's a straight pick'em.
A lot of sharp groups have been pounding the Eagles the last few weeks, and I think you're seeing that again today. And they're getting some late heavy action.
Yeah, and why is that?
I think it's more play. Well, why in this game, or just why have?
Oh yeah, in this game, why is money coming in on the Eagles here?
Because I think the Chargers are a team that a lot of people think are overrated, and they don't think Justin Herbert is the guy. And I disagree because I think Herbert's a great quarterback.
I don't know how you can look at Herbert and say he's not the guy. He's 1,000%, at worst, a starting quarterback in this league.
The starting quarterback, but I mean,
it's more than you can say about Jalen Hurts.
4 weeks ago, we were saying, is he a top 5 quarterback?
Well, you were saying that,
and it was a conversation. Now it's like, is he top 15?
Yeah, well, I mean, you can't base quarterback rankings on like 3 games, and that goes both ways.
That's what a lot of these sharps are doing.
Yeah, it goes both ways. I think it's an overreaction after the first couple of games of the season to say, is Justin Herbert a top 5 quarterback? And it's also an overreaction to these last couple of weeks that the Chargers have had where they've struggled to really be questioning the year and a half that we've seen from Herbert. Mm-hmm. So I think that's an overreaction going in the other direction now. As a bettor, I'm sitting here happy to see sharps pounding the Eagles. Give me the Chargers at a better number. Like I know I'm in the minority here, but like I don't care about sharp action versus public action versus this versus that. If people who are sharp are pounding the Eagles, give me the Chargers at the better number. I don't mind fading them. So I like the Chargers.
Yeah, I'll still lean Chargers. It just is very interesting.
Oh, you gonna let some sharps sway you off the Chargers?
Yeah, I mean, information is key, and I think sometimes they may have information that we don't. So,
I mean, I think I hate relying on the sharps, like this group of people that we can't identify. We don't know who they are. We don't know that if they actually exist. We don't know how many of them there are. We don't know the information that they have. But we know that they're smarter than us, and we should base our information and we should place our money on the things that they do. That makes no sense to me.
I don't think they're smarter than us, so to speak, but I also don't want to be in a position where it's like we're smarter than everyone, and we don't take in information.
Well, no, we do take in information, but you shouldn't. It's not taking in information to say the amorphous sharps that we don't know who they are, we don't know where they are, we don't know that they actually exist, are behaving in a certain way, and then tailing it.
But and then why would the line move from 2.5 to now almost -1 the other way? I mean, it's a 3-point move. I think that's significant over the course of 48 hours.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's moving because there is action coming in. But, I mean, that doesn't mean it's correct.
Well,
or maybe it was correct earlier. Maybe it was
because it
correct
looks
when this
like-
was Eagles +3, and now it's not correct anymore.
Yeah, because it looks like the public is still hammering Chargers.
Yeah, you're getting the Chargers at a better number. Why wouldn't you hammer it?
Well, they always have been.
Yeah, sharp money is not always smart money. It's whale money. I want to ban the word sharp from our discussion. It's whale money.
I disagree. No, it's not always well money. I literally had a good conversation with John Murray on this.
Well, I know it's not always
They
whale
have-
money, but if we don't know who it is, how can we say it's sharp? We know it's whale money because it's enough to move the line, but we don't know if it's sharp or not. We know it's whale money. We
But
don't
Nick,
know that it's sharp money.
That's not always the case though, because if a well-respected syndicate group comes in and they only bet, like, let's say 10,000, which is not a lot of money on an NFL slate, and they bet and if they're well-respected and the books know that they're guys who do well, and if they bet 10 grand on that, or whatever the number is, they immediately say, okay, well, there's probably something here. Because
Yes.
I'm showing 85% of the money is still, or it was on the Chargers. The public is still betting the Chargers. They always were. So it's not always sharp money is not
Yeah.
smart money.
All
but
I'm
it
saying is that
depends.
all I'm saying is unless we know that it's a syndicate betting $10,000 as opposed to Mattress Mac betting $10,000.
But the
we
line
can't-
wouldn't have moved then.
No, but it might have. I mean, and we don't know that it's $10,000. Unless we know exactly who is betting on the game and how much they're betting on it, we don't know if it's whale money or sharp money. The books
I
know.
disagree.
We don't know.
I disagree.
I
disagree. They would move the line 3
Okay, well then,
points.
who are the sharps that bet on this?
We don't know.
Yeah, so how do we know that they're sharps?
Because the books move the line. This is classic RLM.
This is my least favorite concept
Well.
in sports betting.
It is what it is.
Is what it is. So anyways, what's our lean for this game?
I don't know.
I'm putting the Chargers. It doesn't make any sense for us to be discussing the Chargers as an official pick. We didn't give it out as one, by the way. And then we get a better number on the Chargers with no injuries or anything. And then we say, oh, I don't like that anymore. Unless you think that these amorphous people are better than we are. In which case, we have no business handicapping professionally.
I don't know if they're better, but I still lean Chargers. Don't get me wrong, but I don't like it as much as I did.
If we think that mysterious groups that we don't know about are better than us,
I'll text John right now.
oh yeah, I'm sure that there are
I'll just
like
ask him. I'll say,
actual
like,
sharp
you
bets
guys
that
get-
came in on the Eagles.
I'll just say, like, are you guys getting sharp action on the Eagles? I'm just gonna ask him.
Yeah, I mean, and the answer is going to be yes,
Maybe.
maybe.
Sometimes though, the books will copycat, and they'll see a line move
Yeah, or like
this, and
somebody somewhere got sharp action on the Eagles.
Yeah, and they'll just copy it.
All right. Anyways, Packers and Chiefs. Speaking of line moves, this has been
Yeah.
all over the place this week.
Yeah, I freaking got I got Packers plus 3.5 second quarter on Circa of last week's Chiefs game because they kept the line up. They're the only book to do that. All the other books take the next week's games off the board until all the games are done. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I got Packers 3.5 plus 3.5. Great number. And then right before the Aaron Rodgers news, I think it was Pick'em. Maybe Packers were the favorites at one point.
Yeah, I think this was pretty close to a pick 'em.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Green Bay -1 at some point. But yeah, it's almost always a good decision to get your bets in earlier rather than later. But injuries and player like roster news is the one thing that can really come back to bite you in the ass.
Yeah. It can get you.
Because there's just more time for shit to happen. That's why the NBA sucks.
Yeah.
Because you
Literally
you
like two
can't bet early.
minutes before. Yeah.
So anyways, where we're sitting right now is Chiefs -7 and a total of 48. Devil's Rock says, I have Packers pick 'em. I think we find a way to win still somehow. I honestly don't disagree.
Chiefs look terrible.
Yeah, especially defensively. I mean, and offensively.
Nick, I know you're a big Daniel Jones fan, whatever, but if every team in like a hypothetical simulation played the Chiefs the way they played, I think 20 teams win outright.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think
It
that's
wasn't
pretty
all,
accurate.
it wasn't all Daniel Jones. I mean, they had injuries and such, but man, Chiefs look terrible.
Yeah, they can't fix their turnover bugs on offense. They can't consistently get stops without the other team shooting themselves in the foot. And despite this being Jordan Love's first career start, I think with the weapons that the Packers have on offense, Jordan Love doesn't need to play great. I think Jordan Love can play okay, and the Packers can cover this game. And yeah, TJ, I think you're completely right. I think the Chiefs will turn it around at some point. I think that betting on that turnaround to happen in any particular week is a bad idea.
Because
'Cause
we've been saying the same thing the last 5 weeks.
Yeah, it's been like they have to eventually turn it around. And I agree. I think they will eventually turn it around. But if you've bet on the Chiefs, like this being the week for the Chiefs to turn it around for the last like 5 weeks or whatever,
0-5.
you've lost money.
Well, did they cover one?
Yeah, they covered against the Eagles.
What a conversation. Like, did they cover one? Yeah, one cover over the last 5, and then I think it's 2 out of the last 13.
Yeah, I'm not. Oh, they covered against Washington also.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But I think this is the second biggest stretch of worst teams covering. Like, it's insane. And here we are again, -7.
Yeah, I mean, and like, what have they done this year to make you feel like they should be -7 against anybody, let alone literally the team with the best record in the league, just now with a backup quarterback?
I kind of like the Packers money line at the value, Nick. I know
Yeah,
it sounds
what,
crazy.
like plus 270? Devil's Rock says he sees it at.
If Aaron Rodgers is healthy, is this like -2 for the Packers?
I mean, so we saw earlier this week, it was Packers were favored before the Aaron Rodgers news. Is Aaron Rodgers being out worth 8 points? I don't think so.
I think it's closer to 6.
Yeah, I think getting Packers +7 feels like a steal. So I'm happy to throw Green Bay up as a lean. Model also does like the over. It kind of feels like a potential sneaky over, especially if the Packers play well.
Yeah. To this chat, I was gonna say Mick Nichols Edmonds would be my two picks personally, but
Yeah, I mean it's some pretty good options. I think as we'll touch on soon, I think that it's going to be an Edmonds game, not a James Conner game, for the Cardinals. So I think that he'll be good.
until he
McNichols.
steals 2 touchdowns at the
Oh yeah, I
2-yard
mean
line.
I have Edmonds in fantasy. I know how that goes. So
and
J-
I have Connor, and it's so funny because his stat line will be like 4 rushes for like 13 yards, and then you're like, oh yeah, 2 touchdowns. Great.
yeah, he's a vulture. McNichols. It's a little hard to tell exactly what the role is going to be in the offense. I mean, I don't think that Adrian Peterson is going to carry the ball 25 times like Derrick Henry might, but it could be like a 50-50 split. It could be all McNichols. It could be mostly Peterson. It kind of hard to tell. Definitely a lot of upside with McNichols, though. Probably maybe even the highest upside of all of them. And then Darrell Williams is a little. I mean, he should be a. I think Williams will be in a good spot too. I kind of don't think you can go wrong. I'd say Edmonds for sure. McNichols higher upside, Williams a little safer.
Yeah. And back to this Chiefs game, Quant Coach says, I just don't see the Chiefs turning it around. Andy Reid, streaky. Eagles failed to cover 9 of 11 in his last year when he was with the Eagles. You know, it kind of feels like a weird season for the Chiefs because their offense, it seems like they're not running as many exotic plays, which is kind of weird. Have you picked up on that, Nick? Like, I mean, they still do. You know, they'll run like a Kelsey like option, you know, pitch like forward pass.
Yeah.
But it just seems like the playbook hasn't been as open as it has in the past. It's more Mahomes running around and doing his crazy antic throws and such. I don't know.
I think a lot
interesting.
of the improvisation and the craziness has been Mahomes kind of just doing weird shit, and it's not really working.
Yeah, kind of like his brother doing weird TikTok dances.
Yeah. Also, thank you. I'm gonna absolutely butcher your name, but like K. Shakulski or something like that. The Polish names is alphabet soup. I don't understand. But thank you for the follow. Appreciate that.
Chiefs are like 1-7 against the spread when Mahomes, his brother, does a TikTok dance on the sidelines. If anyone is curious.
I mean, but is that any better than they are when he doesn't? No.
Well, it's not as fun.
Also,
If he stops doing a TikTok dance and they win and cover, that'd be so funny.
yeah, it would. I was damn close. Tell me how to pronounce it. I'm curious. Shaholski.
Hosky.
Okay.
He was on. He
I
already
said.
had
I think
that, like,
I said
ready.
Shikolski. So my middle, and I knew the middle one was off because, I mean, the ch is not a k sound.
Tyreek Hill and AJ Dillon to score.
I hate
that's
touchdown
actually
props, but
But it's not bad from the standpoint that I think Dillon is going to see a decent workload, but will he get that carry at the touchdown? Because they do like to utilize Jones in the red zone quite a bit, even though, like, it could be 3rd and goal at the 2-yard line, and they'll put Jones out there. So that's why maybe I don't like that as much, but
yeah. And Josh Kitkowski, DJ Moore or Amari Cooper, full PPR. That's a tough one.
I should have sold DJ Moore high when I had him on my I still have him on my fantasy team, but the first 3 weeks I was like, man, this is the best pick of my life. I got him in like the 6th round, and yeah, it's gone downhill.
Yeah, I'd go with I probably would say Moore, Cooper's a little banged up. He's got a hammy or something. He was questionable. He is playing, but
It seems like Moore would be the better, if like fantasy pick for like a ceiling. But Cooper's your safer. He's gonna get 10, 12, like on average.
yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah. Come on, DJ Moore. We need a big game out of you.
Yeah. All right, moving on. We've got, speaking of Chase Edmonds, Arizona and San Francisco. Still a little uncertain who's actually playing in this game. Is it going to be Kyler Murray? Is it going to be Colt McCoy? I think we're trending McCoy, but not any kind of certainty. Also, DeAndre Hopkins, I believe, is going to be out. That's the way that's trending. J.J. Watt, of course, out for the year. Cardinals looking vulnerable, looking like not necessarily a 7-1 quality team at the moment. San Francisco's also got some injury issues. Elijah Mitchell. Somebody was asking about that. I think he's trending towards playing, but not like 100%. But I think I read that Mitchell was supposed to play. Deebo Samuel also supposed to play. But man, without Kyler Murray starting in this game, or without knowing if Kyler Murray is starting in this game, it kind of feels hard to pick a side here. Mm-hmm. It's so dependent on. I think it's a 7-point swing. I'm seeing San Francisco minus 3.5 right now. I think if Murray ends up playing, I'm actually seeing 4.5 now. Wow. But it could swing to the same number, but the other way.
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, no one knows.
Yeah, I kind of.
Kittle's back.
Yeah, Kittle's back.
That's big.
That's really big for San Francisco's offense. It's just another option to space the field. It's going to help out the running game because Kittle's a great blocker in addition to being an excellent receiver, and it really gives them a second consistent set of hands behind Deebo Samuel because Ayuk hasn't really been that.
Yeah, there's weird stuff going on with Ayuk and Shanahan. Like it's like this like saga where the media keeps playing off of it. Like, how's he coming along? And then he has to make a statement about, like, okay, he did this in practice. He's coming along, or they take a step back, and it's like, stay tuned for part 13 of the Ayuk and Shanahan saga. It's great.
It's like Days of Our Lives.
I know.
Soap opera.
Oh, we need that. We need to get that as a sound clip, Nick.
Yeah, we do. I forgot that I had the soundboard up. They need to let that rookie take control and develop. Yeah, Trey Lance got some upside for sure.
Ooh, I have a hot take.
What's your hot take? He's the best
Here's my hot
quarterback.
take. not that hot. I think. Well, maybe this isn't really that hot, but I think in the offseason, Jimmy G is going to be shipped, and teams are going to go after him because it's going to be like him, Russell Wilson are going to be kind of the only two quarterbacks as of now. Well, I guess Aaron Rodgers, you can throw that in the mix, but that's a whole other conversation. But I think Jimmy G's gone, and Trey Lance will be the guy next year.
Yeah, well, I think you don't take Trey Lance number 3 overall to let him sit behind Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah,
maybe if it's Aaron Rodgers, you take a quarterback in the first round and let him sit, but not Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
I said that on purpose.
Yep.
Not an accident.
Yep.
So yeah, I think this has to be a fade spot. Just because we don't know for sure who's even starting at quarterback.
Thank you, Hill Chiefs, for the follow. I just want to let you know I am a Broncos fan. I guess he probably could see that by my background, but
yeah, you do have somebody up on a poster behind you, and the stadium
Atwater
behind you.
Yeah.
Probably can't tell that I'm a Ravens fan, especially because I'm wearing a Pittsburgh gear. But that's the way it goes. So last game is Tennessee and Los Angeles. So Rams 7.5-point favorites at home. Total currently sitting at 52.5. Titans, of course, no Derrick Henry. That is the big news here. So it's going to be some combination of Jeremy McNichols and Adrian Peterson toting the rock for the Titans. On the Rams side, they're pretty healthy. Von Miller may or may not play tonight. I think he's really the only injury concern on the team, but it's not like it's a loss if they don't have him. It's just an extra addition for the defense if they do.
It can't be a loss when he wasn't on the team, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And like second and third round draft picks weren't going to play today. So I'm really curious to see what we get out of Tennessee this week. Is it going to be a similar kind of offense where they just split somehow between McNichols and Peterson in the running game and get 80% maybe of the production that they would get from Derrick Henry? Or is it really going to be a big shift in the offensive philosophy where they're going to let Ryan Tannehill use those options he has in the passing game? A.J. Brown, Julio Jones, good set of tight ends, and McNichols, who's an excellent receiving back. Are they going to let Tannehill really air it out? And I think that's a hard question to answer at this point. We really have to. We really have to see, and there's not a good precedent, a good example to turn to for an offense like the Titans that suddenly loses this bell cow. I mean, they're really unique in the way that they rely on Derrick Henry. There's not another team in modern NFL that does that. It could be the Titans don't miss a beat. It could be they look completely lost.
You know what side I'm leaning on?
I think they laid in the Rams.
Well, as far as to that statement of are they going to not miss a beat or look lost?
What side of that are you on?
You got to guess.
I think they're going to look a little lost.
I think so too. And hey, maybe I'm wrong, but I think it's going to at least take like a quarter because it's such. I mean, you're literally changing up the offense, the whole scheme, strategy.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't just click, and you're playing the Rams. The Rams have a really good defense, so
yeah.
This could be a spot where the Rams win by multiple scores. And you know what, Nick? I don't throw out alternate lines a lot of times on here, but this could seem like a spot where if you like the Rams, you could maybe look at like 10, 12, I don't know, just to see what's out there.
Well, I mean, and also alternate lines, it's completely different if you're selling points as opposed to buying them.
Absolutely, yeah.
Buying points is usually not a good idea, but selling points, as long as you still win, like if you're not selling your win for a loss, selling points is definitely a good idea because you just make more money on the same bet if you hit. So, the model has this Rams 26.6, Titans 23.3 about. So technically, Titans cover and an under, but the model, it knows that Derrick Henry is out, but it really can't properly quantify the importance that Derrick Henry has to this offense. Like it doesn't, like, the model says, oh, we can give the ball to Adrian Peterson and Jeremy McNichols 30 times. But that's just not the way that they're going to play. So spread-wise, I think fade. I feel like we have to fade the spread.
Yeah,
we have to see what the Titans do.
We have to fade this one.
But total-wise, I like the under.
I do too.
Especially if we're thinking the Titans are going to come out a little bit slow. Like if they never put it together, this total is way too high. It was even higher earlier in the week. I think it was up to like 54. 52.5 right now. But I still think that the under's the move.
Agreed. I do agree with that one.
Alrighty. So that wraps up the discussion of the games. We're going to get into our top picks in just a minute. But before we do that, I want to say thank you all for being here. Got a lot of new faces in here. Appreciate all of you checking out the stream. Hope that you've enjoyed. Be sure to drop a follow if you haven't already. You can get some notifications for when we're live and whatnot. Also, there's a link for the Discord that's been floating around. I think we got a lot of people coming from TikTok. But be sure to join the Discord because they said.
Oh, yeah. I had this stream running on TikTok, and I said, "Hey, come over to the dock side, Twitch."
Yeah, so be sure to check out the Discord if you're not in there already. There's a link for that in the chat.
Nick, I want to make one quick point though about the Denver game.
Yeah.
Malik Reed is out at linebacker, and Noah Fant is out.
Ooh,
which is
that's
significant. Big. Yeah, because he's seen, I think, 4 or 5 targets, or maybe a little more per game. Let's see here. Let's talk about this real quick. Better hurry because the game kicks off in about 4 minutes. But I guess that news was already out.
Yeah. So I don't think it's confirmed that Fant is out. Oh no, yeah, Fant is out.
Yeah, he's out. So that's interesting.
All right. So yeah, we got 2 minutes. Let's get our top bets in.
Okay.
So Ben, you want to start us off?
Yeah, my best bet is Jerry Jeudy over 57.5 receiving yards. That's my best bet.
He comes in with a prop that we didn't talk about at all. Yeah,
well, that's what people get for sticking around 2 minutes before the games.
Yeah, that's true. So for me, I'm gonna go ahead and take the under 42.5, or even if you're seeing 43s, 43.5s, give me all the extra points. Give me the wiggle room. I'm gonna go under in the Falcons and Saints game. That is gonna be my favorite bet for today.
My other one that I was considering, it was going to be the Ravens, but not at -7 now. Liked it more at -6. But.
Yeah, I agree. Ben liked Jerry Jeudy over receiving yards as his favorite bet.
Yep.
Your mic did kind of cut in and out.
Okay. Yeah, so it's Jerry Jeudy, and it's at 57.5. I think.
Yeah.
It might have moved, but
that's what it was last night at least.
Yeah. And with Fant out, Cowboys are most likely going to be up in this one. It makes a lot of sense. He's healthy. So.
Yeah, Ben, you should have told me earlier that Fant was out. I was going to go pick up Albert O in fantasy real quick, but there's not enough time.
Yeah, I'll do it though.
I needed a.
Hey, I let you have Bateman.
Stream tight end. You did let me have Bateman.
That was a nice move. That's just good fantasy karma.
I've got Dawson Knox is hurt, so I've been picking up tight ends every week. I had Tunyon, and then he got hurt. I had somebody else, and then had to drop him. So I've got Tommy Sweeney in there this week.
Yeah, but in our league, Alberto has to be already taken.
No,
right?
Alberto is a free agent.
Really?
Yeah, despite it being 13 Broncos fans and me.
No, he's picked up now.
Oh, is he?
But maybe that was today.
Probably was today.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it happened 20 minutes ago.
Yep. There you go.
There it is.
All righty, guys. Best of luck today. I feel good about today.
Yeah, I'm feeling good. We had a pretty big slate official picks wise.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm feeling pretty confident. So just real quick, again, thank you everyone for checking out the stream. We'll be back tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. Mountain Time, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time with a full picks and props rundown for the Bears and Steelers Monday Night Football game. And then Tuesday, don't know exactly what time, don't know exactly what format, but we will 100% be live for college basketball starting out. 115 games between two D1 teams. I think there's like 180 games at this point total on Tuesday in college basketball. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's going to be It's going to be a busy day, but I'm excited for the hoops to be back for
Oh, I
college.
cannot wait. All right, so we're gonna wrap it up. Time to go watch some games. Good luck with the bets, as always, and we will see you next time. Is that link you drop include college picks too, like the official picks? Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
it
think
does.
Roy was.
Yeah, Roy, you were sub for a little while,
subscriber,
so yeah.
Yeah.
College basketball picks come
Good
up there.
time to get back on. I'll put it that way.
That's why the promo code is Swish.
Yeah, use that promo Swish, and good luck today, guys. We'll see you in the Discord, and we will talk to you tomorrow.
Yep. Later.
That's it.